Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we collect and store some flower seeds. So let's go. I love saving money in my garden however I can, and that starts with starting my own plants from seed. And what cheaper way to do it than collecting your own seeds? In fact, I've made a lot of videos showing you my process on how to collect seeds from lots of different plants as well as how to start those seeds. I'll put links to those playlists down below as well as up above, so be sure to check those out. I always like to collect seeds when the seeds have ripened on the plant itself. In other words, I don't want to be collecting seed pods that are not ripe. I want to wait until the seed pods and the seeds inside of them are fully ripe before I start collecting seeds. Last year was the first time I grew Gomphrena from seed, and it was an experiment for me. The seed that I used were seed that I collected from a local park. And when you collect your own seeds, you just never know. Well, I had wonderful success with those seeds, and I love the Gomphrena in this bed. I don't know the name of this Gomphrena, but I noticed on Baker Creek they have one that's called Buddy Purple. You can get about 25 seeds for $3.50, which isn't horrible, but if you can collect your own seeds, you can get the seeds for free. The Gomphrena is just stunning. It is such a bright, such a vibrant color, and I'm absolutely loving this color this time of year. Here we are, it's fall time, and we just love looking at lots of different colors in the garden. And you can't go wrong with this color as we enter the month of October. What I'm pointing to are some flower buds that will eventually get bigger and then will turn into flowers. Now I'm pointing to some of the beautiful blooms on this Gomphrena that I'm really enjoying. You want to wait until the blooms have started to fade, and they'll start to turn a gray or a white or a tan color, similar to what you see on the screen right here. So let's go ahead and harvest this seed pod. Not many of my Gomphrena have started to go to seed, but I found another seed pod that we can take. I'd rather collect more than less. So here are our seed pods, and to release the seeds from the seed pod, what you want to do is you just want to basically start pulling it apart. And many times it will fall apart pretty easily for you. So I'm just tugging. I would say in the world of collecting seeds, Gomphrena seeds are very interesting. They have this little coating. So it looks like this, and actually the seed is like a little brown or black thing that's in the inside of this. What I learned last year was you can actually sow this as is, but I did soak the seeds. I don't remember how long I soaked them for. What I'll do is put a link to that video down in the description as well as up above, but it does help to loosen up this layer in order for that seed to germinate. Whether or not that's necessary, I don't know. I had done some research and I had read that you should soak the seeds just to make it a little bit easier. But I just wanted to show you close up. That's what basically the seeds look like. But again, the actual seed itself is inside of this little furry coating here. But you don't need to remove that little tiny seed from inside of this. You can keep this as is. So I don't know the technical term, but if it were me, I would call this the actual seed pod, and I would actually just call these the seeds. And once they dry, I can get rid of all of this non-seed material, and then I can funnel the seeds off of the paper, which is folded in half, into this little Ziploc bag. I still have so many Gomphrena seeds left over from last year, not just purple, but many other colors. So be on the lookout, because if Gomphrena is starting to go to seed, definitely collect your own seeds. We are in what I call the bay window flower bed because I have a bay window here. And there are a whole bunch of coneflower or echinacea that I planted here, I believe it was last year. And they're coneflower that I started from seed a few years ago using the winter sowing process. And the seeds were seeds that I bought off of the Baker Creek website. There were a lot of different varieties. I don't remember all of them, but one of them was called Double Decker. And if I can find a picture, I'm going to pop it up on the screen of how pretty these looked when they were blooming. I love to leave the seeds on my flower heads, especially when it comes to coneflower, because the birds love to munch on those seeds. However, I have plenty of Echinacea purpurea or purple coneflower in my long border. They're all going to seed, so the birds have plenty of food. But I want to collect the seeds from these plants. It's going to be a mix, which I don't mind, and then I'm planning to winter sow them this coming winter. These brown colored seed pods that you see are the seed pods that we'll be collecting the seeds from. In fact, I probably should have started this a few weeks ago, because as we move around, like right here, you will see that the seeds have already fallen off of this plant, so I can't collect the seeds from it. And I know I originally planted these plants basically in a little cluster right here, but I'm noticing that there are a bunch of seedlings, probably from seeds that dropped last year. Like there's one right there. And then I have some more random ones that are in this flower bed. And that's totally fine. I can always dig them up. But sometimes it's nice to collect my own seeds as well, because I want to have it a little bit more controlled. In this particular flower bed, I'm not trying to make it so that I have coneflower plants all over the flower bed. That's one of the coneflowers that's still blooming, so we're just going to let it bloom until it goes to seed. This one might have been mellow yellow. Look how pretty that is. So that's another coneflower that's still blooming, as well as the one right next to it. Notice the seed pod has some green on it. That seed pod is not ready for me to collect yet. I want to leave it on the plant as long as possible until it turns more of a blackish color. But again, I'm okay with just mixing all the seeds together, because I know that this was a nice variety of seeds that I had bought and then I winter sowed. Echinacea seeds can be sharp and prickly, so if you want, you can use gloves, you can use pruners to cut them off. I'm just going to go ahead and pull off the seed pod, just like that. And I'll pull off a few more, and then I'll show you what's next after that. Notice that this stem is green, but as we move up, it starts to turn brown. And again, that's the seed pod that we already lost all the seeds from. So that's a good indicator. I usually like to wait until right below the seed pod has started to turn a brown color. This one right here is still a green color. I'll probably wait a few more days. That's a close-up of what the seed pod looks like, just so you know what to look for if you're looking for a seed pod that's ready for picking. And to release the seeds from the seed pod, again, you can wear gloves if you want. I'm just moving things around with my fingers. Some feedback that I've gotten on some of my videos that I've made in the past when it comes to collecting Echinacea seeds is there's confusion on what is the seed and what is not the seed. And that's why I'm making this video, to show you up close what a seed looks like. I can tell you that is not a seed. That is my son's cat, Callie. And she's named Callie because she's a calico. Isn't she a pretty girl? Okay, let's get back to collecting seeds. Some people think that this is the seed for coneflower. It is not the seed. That is just the non-seed material, which is called chaff. The seed is actually these little guys right here. So I'm going to move a few aside so you can see the difference. And that's a nice close-up of what the Echinacea or coneflower seed looks like. And it's up to you if you want to store everything. You could definitely store the seed and non-seed material or sprinkle these out in your landscape. And only the seeds would germinate, not the non-seed material. And since the seeds are still a little wet, I'm going to wait about a week before I store them. And I'll be separating out the non-seed material from the seed material, and all the seeds are going to get funneled into this small bag that I have labeled here. I showed you in a previous video my process for collecting or saving the seeds of wax begonias. If you missed it, be sure to check out that video down below. It's been about a week since we collected those seeds. These seeds are now dry and they're ready for storage. I've already started the process of storing some of my wax begonia seeds for the season. I like to store them in these small little Ziploc bags, but you can store seeds in a paper bag or a paper envelope if you like. I always like to label it, so I have wax begonia. This has a white flower and a dark leaf to it. It's a shorter variety, and then I like to put the year that I collected the seeds, just so I know how viable these seeds are. And I just want to show you how teeny tiny the seeds are. And you'll notice that I do have some of the non-seed material in there as well, which is called chaff, which is totally fine. I've collected way more seeds than I need, but it's always better to have more than less. So this is another wax begonia. It has a white flower, a green leaf, and it's tall. I always say that the seed of wax begonia is like dust. It's really crazy how small the seeds are. And then here's another wax begonia. It's a tall variety. It has a light pink flower and a green leaf. This is my first year trying to save seeds from a proven winner plant, so it will be an experiment for me. It has a red flower to it. Some begonias will produce seeds and some will not. And even if they produce seeds, it's not a guarantee that those seeds will germinate. And even if the seeds do germinate, there's a chance that the plants that get produced will not look like the mother plant. So that's why I say all of this will be an experiment for me when it comes to these particular seeds. Now I collected way more seed pods than I really need. And when it comes to saving the seeds, I do not try to save every single seed that's in all of these seed pods. It's just not worth the time and the effort. However, when I do collect seeds, I don't want to just collect one seed pod either, because there's a chance that the seeds that are in that one seed pod, for whatever reason, might not be good. So all I'm doing is just splitting this open with my fingers, and the seeds are just falling like dust. Another thing I can do is I can carefully fold this paper, although I know I have a lot of seeds in there, and I can just press down. And oftentimes, just by doing that, that's crushing the seed pods and releasing some of the seeds. And then I like to just fold the piece of paper, tap the paper, and I can funnel the seeds off the paper and into my little bag here. And again, I don't care if I get some of the non-seed material that comes in with it. And it's up to you how many seeds you want to store. To be honest with you, that is more than I'll ever need. Then I like to just seal the bag, and then I can store it in a cool, dark, dry location. You'll have to let me know if you're going to try to collect the seeds of any of these plants that you saw in this video, or let me know some other plants that you're collecting seeds from. And hopefully this winter, together we can plant some of those seeds and watch those seeds turn into little plants and then eventually bloom for us next year. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.